A long-awaited moment, prepared by years of work to express this new ecclesial reality, the work of Mary, Focolare Movement, and submitted to the Church for approval. On the 29th of June 1990, the General Statutes of the work of Mary were approved, and the following day, the 30th of June, Cardinal Eduardo Pironio, then President of the Pontifical Council for the Laity, welcomed the foundress of the Focolare Movement, Chiara Lubich, and a group of the first focolarini to the headquarters of that same Dicastery, reading the decree of approval.
Eminenza, buongiorno, che grande giorno per noi, Eminenza.
E per noi anche.
Speriamo.
Grazie.
7 rules have been drawn up over time, from the Statutes of the Focolare of Unity, recognized in 1947 by the Archbishop of Trent, to the Statutes of the Men and Women Focolarini, approved separately in the 1960s, until the full approval given by Pope Paul VI in 1964, after 16 years of study by the Church of Rome.
First of all, I have the honor of reading this decree and then of presenting it to Chiara today, the day after the celebration of Saints Peter and Paul, a feast day which is very ecclesial and very Roman. On this day is the feast day of the first Roman saints. On this occasion, I will read this decree, which confirms the association and approves the revised, updated statutes as desired by Chiara and by the whole work of Mary. The Focolare Movement, the work of Mary, was approved by a decree dated the 5th of December 1964 by the Congregation of the Council as a pious union endowed with a special statute, insofar as those belonging to this union expressed the desire to wait for the new canonical legislation on the organizational forms of the apostolic mission of the laity, to see whether new juridical forms might emerge which could more adequately reflect and embrace the spirit and ideals of their apostolic activity. In the following years, the movement developed in faithfulness to its charism and it spread, growing in maturity. Thus, it brought abundant spiritual fruits to the Church and bore a credible witness of unity to the world. The President of the work of Mary has now petitioned this Council for approval of the updated version of the Statutes of the work of Mary as a private, universal association of the faithful, holding this institutional format more suitable to its nature and its history. In response to this request, this Pontifical Council for the Laity, in accordance with Canons 298, 311, and 321, 329, approves these updated statutes and confirms this association called the Work of Mary, Focolare Movement, as a private, universal association of the faithful, a juridical entity in the canonical order by decree of the Holy See, declaring it to be, for all intents and purposes, an association of pontifical right, and establishing it that it be recognized as such by all, wishing for a fruitful missionary commitment in the service of the Gospel and of the Church, in the footsteps of Mary, and a fruitful collaboration with brothers and sisters of other Christian churches and of other religions, and with all people of goodwill, in the spirit of the Focolare Movement, for the glory of God and the good of the Church and of the world, under the guidance of the Holy Spirit, and the maternal protection of the Mother of God. Signed, Cardinal Pironio. So, I present this to you, but first, please, allow me to say a few words. In reading over this text, it brought abundant spiritual fruits to the Church and bore a credible witness of unity to the world. It's beautiful to be able to say this of a movement which the Lord has blessed in an extraordinary manner, both within the ecclesial community and outside of the ecclesial community, in its missionary dimension, in a communion that is in view of an even deeper communion with people of other religions or different forms of belief. This missionary spirit, which brings the men and women focolarini everywhere, should be underlined very strongly. In fact, wherever one goes, one immediately meets the focolarini. This spirit of unity, which is rooted in the abandonment of Christ on the cross, this unity, which necessarily comes from the total annihilation of Christ dying on the cross, produces much fruit in the world. And I must underline it today on behalf of the Holy Father who I met with on Thursday. I want to thank you for all that the movement, that the work of Mary has done in the Church, and particularly with us here at the Pontifical Council for the Laity. We cannot forget the availability with which the Focolare Movement put itself at our disposal for whatever we needed at the service of the Church, especially for the events involving young people here in Rome, in Buenos Aires, and in Santiago de Compostela. You yourself, Chiara, participated in a meeting held at Rocca di Papa in 1987, before the Synod. You were also present and gave your contribution in the Synod. And that's not all. Professor Tommaso Sorgi participated in a recent meeting we had just a few days ago. So, everywhere we see this truly ecclesial spirit, which is the fruit of the Holy Spirit, this total availability, which is a clear reflection of the availability of Mary, the humble handmaid of the Lord. My wish is that the movement might grow more and more, that it may develop with the dynamism of the Holy Spirit and bring abundant fruits. This is my desire. Once again, I express my personal joy and the joy of the Pontifical Council for the Laity.
Thank you, Your Eminence. We'll do our best to do what you have just said.
With all my heart.
With your blessing, of course.
With all my heart, we'll give you a blessing. Something else, which is not really secondary, although it is very small and personal. I believe that the movement began on the 8th of December 1943. Isn't it true? On that same day, I celebrated my first Mass.
We're united in this too.
we are united in this too. So it's a very special remembrance. These are the statutes.
1,000 thanks, Your Eminence.
Please make yourselves comfortable.
But just a few moments, because you must be very busy.
Good.
We're very happy, very, very happy. It couldn't be better.
These are my collaborators who are sharing in our joy because they worked for this. Guzman, Monsignor Rilko, the Under Secretary. Unfortunately, Bishop Cordes left for Germany. Maria Grazia Sales, I think she came up to Rocca and went to a forum in Vienna.
Yes, I was informed. Bishop Cordes called me to extend his best wishes.
Only the Holy Father is missing.
You represent him.
We wanted him to come out, but we know very well how the Pope, and you know it better than I, how the Pope has the movement at heart. Then something else I must tell you, even though I already mentioned it, is that wherever one goes, they immediately find the focolarini with the spirit of ecclesial communion. Usually, the bishops themselves say, with the focolarini, everything is fine. We work well together.
It's the most important thing for us after God.
So, we are happy. And this was done, as we promised, before your assembly. Isn't that right? Because you are going to have the assembly.
Yes, in October. It will begin on the 24th of September, so now we're also prepared the 12 regulations of all the branches, which the Assembly will approve. But this is the treasure, because it has the approval of the Church, and then with such a decree, and with your comments.
It speaks of the missionary force. It speaks of this abundance of fruits, both in the Church and in the world, in search of unity. So many men and women focolarini, whom we do not know, have undoubtedly worked and suffered in the background through these years. Now, the Lord is giving them the possibility to work more openly, more directly with this new situation, which we hope continues in the Lord.
A new period is beginning for us, Your Eminence.
Beautiful.
Yes, with this. And also so many people have died, offering everything for the statutes, for the movement. Since there are many of us, quite a few have left for heaven.
Certainly. And they are like seeds already sown by the movement. Seeds sown in heaven. And this makes the movement even more fruitful. All those who are associated in one way or another with the movement will be very happy. I think that many of my brother bishops, priests, religious and young people will be happy.
We thank you in a particular way. I feel this very strongly for what you said about Jesus forsaken being the secret.
Of course, the secret of this unity.
Your Eminence, we want to ask for
With
your
all
blessing.
my heart, let's say a Hail Mary to Our Lady.
Ave Maria, piena di grazia, il Signore è con te. Tu sei benedetta fra le donne e benedetto il frutto del seno tuo, Gesù. Santa Maria, Madre di Dio, prega per noi peccatori, adesso e nell'ora della nostra morte. Amen. Vi benedica Dio Onnipotente, Padre e Figlio e Spirito Santo. Amen. Sia lodato Gesù.
1,000 thanks, 1,000 thanks.
With all my heart. Thank you on behalf of the Church, of the Pope, and of everyone.
If you see the Holy Father, you'll greet him for us, won't you? Thank you. This is a little gift, some books. I hope you like them. They're writings on Mary in the first millennium, the fathers of the Church.
Very beautiful, very beautiful. It is a beautiful subject and an important work. Thank you. My best wishes.
Ci conosciamo da tanto tempo, no? Bene.
E tanti auguri.
Anche a queste nostre viaggi.
Sì. Avevamo tanto aiuto e collabora anche fisicamente qui.
Goodbye.
Sì.